Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the second part of tonight's stream. As you can see, either beneath the video or above my head, we are going to play my very first ever Vampire the Masquerade game, Coteries of New York. That's what Coney means over there. It is a visual novel. It is not the open world RPG or open world RPG of the original game of Bloodlines. And then, obviously, Bloodlines 2 was delayed into 2021. It was supposed to be out this fall. I just want something a little different. You know, we just spent the last 2 hours playing Wasteland 3, getting a feel for it, doing a live PolyNerdic playtest of it. I wanted something different for the remainder of the night. This is it. We're going to play a visual novel. It is worth noting, as I have said repeatedly, and I will say with just about every stream for the remainder of the year, we are streaming for Extra Life, as you see in the chat right now, or underneath the video player if you're watching live on Twitch, or if you are watching this later on YouTube, I'll put the link in the description below the video. But we're gonna get into this. So let me just start the game. Here we are. We're at the start screen. So we're just gonna dive right in. I hear this is not a not a overly long game. It's getting a lot of like 7 out of 10s. So it seems, you know, good enough to do a little playthrough of. I just finished Best Friend Forever, the visual novel dating sim / dog ownership sim on the Switch. So I'm kind of in a visual novel mood. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay. So we get you 3 different clans here. I kind of want to play as Ventru. Yeah. We will rename her. Go. Like I said, it's a visual novel. It's not, you know, this expansive, you know, graphically heavy thing. It's gonna have like, you know, a lot of stills, a lot of text to read. I'm hoping voice acting, but that belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you would have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. That's a great line. I love it. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate, you decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. That's poetic. I like that. I was incandescent by myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections. Men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for all they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate. A message saying, "You're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns." It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you straight here from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it's precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I trust to do the job well and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. Your phone rings, it's your boss again. The setting sun that filled your high-rise office an hour ago is gone. The city looks like an ocean of light from up here, spreading for miles to the north. You pick up. You were about to call today, forget about the world of fintech, and decompress at home. No dice. One of the investors wants to meet you. His voice, as always, the perfect mix of authority and sleaze. He'll come by your office in an hour. You look at the clock. An hour? He's got to be kidding. Yeah, I know, but stick around. He's a heavyweight. You'll want to make a good impression. Fine. You grit your teeth a little. The boss hangs up. 2 hours. Might as well pour another coffee into yourself and figure out how to best use this to your advantage. You suspect everyone knows that, no, you're not actually happy with your current position. That, in fact, you feel squished against the glass ceiling that comes with the territory. Sure, your idiot superior might have gotten the job only because he's the CEO's golfing buddy, but you're going to put an unholy amount of work into your advancement. Times where you'd laugh off the idea of staying at the office until 9 p.m. You had a partner to go home to, the nightly Netflix and chill ritual to perform, complete with pizza or Chinese takeout. That's hilarious that Netflix and chills. Ever since you moved up the ladder, though, your hours have only gotten longer. That's how it works in capitalism. Food, mostly at the company cafeteria, sometimes takeout, always in a rush. You praise the heavens for your crazy metabolism and dread the day it finally decides to give up. Rest, at this point, the cleaning lady who takes care of your apartment probably spends more time in your bedroom than you do. You flash back to your boss quoting Shakespeare to impress his new, extremely attractive and uncomfortably young secretary. For some must watch while some must sleep, so runs the world away. Drinks, mostly with colleagues, and they all pretty much hate you at this point. Another flashback, this time to the most profitable quarter in the company's history. Still, the board decided that layoffs were in order. Capitalism. That's how it works. Your boss didn't feel like letting the people know in person, so he passed that privilege on to you. Motherfucker. Gotta hand it to him. He always knew how to pick his battles. But maybe, just maybe, tonight is the night it's all going to change. You decide to play the good looks angle, nothing too slutty. You leave your blouse slightly unbuttoned. Check if your ass looks as good as you remembered in your pencil skirt. Mirror says yes. It's not something you're proud of, but you become too jaded to care. That's fucked up. Knowing your luck, the investor is going to be one of two types. A self-obsessed Musk wannabe in his 20s, or a fat old pervert drenched in cologne. You hear the elevator ding. Time to get this show on the road. You take one final look in the mirror. Fix your hair as the footsteps echo across the empty hallway. The man who approaches your office is not what you expected. He's slick to be sure, but he seems a bit more refined than your usual company man. Expensive suit, matching tie and shirt, confident in his stride, surprisingly good looking. Good evening. I hope this unforeseen visit isn't too much of an inconvenience. God, that voice, you're taken aback by how smooth and strong it is, and his eyes, steel blue, cold, intense. He's all business, professional. Treats you in a manner that's appropriate to your stature. When he speaks, he looks you in the eyes and not at your cleavage. He asks some questions about your work, tells you how he noticed your input after talking to the CEO, another golfing buddy, and comes charmingly close to calling your boss an incompetent doofus, excuse me. All the while, you try to guess his accent, but can't quite place it. European, sure, but from where? Or where from, excuse me. I know I've kept you long enough, but would you indulge me and join me for a drink? Of course, for a minute there, it seemed like he wasn't that kind of guy. But what the hell, you go with it. He seems nice enough. Besides, it's not like you have other plans. The investor has a limo waiting downstairs, and the driver takes you to the high-end restaurant in Williamsburg. A seat is waiting for you in a deluxe lounge. It's just the two of you. You talk about this and that. Your companion seems to have a knack for history. So, tell me what you would do if you had full control of the company. You almost choke on your wine. This is your chance. You say what's been on your mind for months, but hide it behind a veneer of professional corpo babble. Refocusing, listening to your instincts at once, restructuring, kicking out your boss, aggressively pursuing new markets, getting the hell away from all these horrible people. He likes the sound of that. He leans forward, his eyes flash with intensity, and something else. A strange emotion that wasn't there before. You'll do just fine. His words echo inside your head as you black out. You wake up, God only knows how much later. As you try to piece together what happened, you hear a familiar voice, the investor, or whoever the hell he is, talking to someone. You suddenly recall snippets, fragmented memories, his sapphire eyes intently locked with yours, his teeth suddenly longer and sharper. And something else, a feeling on your neck that takes you back to your last orgasm. A company trip to Florida, a sweaty room, the cutie from HR who doesn't work there anymore, and then darkness. Yes, I'm done here. Consider my debt paid. The investor pushes the other figure aside and walks away from the lounge, barely bothering to look at you. The door locks behind him. Some time passes before you find the strength to get up from the couch. You touch your lips. Blood. Did that asshole hit you? You try to stand up, but your head is pounding and your stomach is like a heavy knot, pulling you down. You didn't have that much to drink. He must have spiked your wine. This is bad. You frantically check your clothes. Pristine. Doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden, a feeling hits you unlike anything you've ever felt before. You fall to the floor, writhing in an all-encompassing pain and hunger. The kind that makes your insides burn. The kind that cannot be denied. You try to calm yourself down with a breathing exercise they taught you at some bullshit mindfulness course. That's when it hits you. You're not breathing. And holy shit, should your heart be jumping out of your chest with that realization, but it's not moving. Not even a beat. The door unlocks. You hear a startled voice. A young man in a waiter's outfit, his accent thick with an Eastern European harshness, leans over you and asks if you are all right. For a brief moment, you wonder what the hell he's doing here. Everything is wrong. Then his smell reaches your nostrils. It's intoxicating. Everything feels right again. He holds out his arm to help you stand up. You grab it, firmly, with both hands, and then you bite down. You sink your teeth right next to the old-school pinup tattoo of Rita Hayworth on his forearm. It takes you a moment to process what you're doing. A part of you wants to break away, but a stronger voice implores you to keep drinking. One thing becomes clear. You are definitely enjoying this. He only struggles a little and quickly falls to his knees. You can see his eyes now, pale blue and confused. You only bring yourself to let him go once he collapses to the floor. Your bite leaves a mess of his forearm. Poor Rita, all bloodied, missing half her face. Did you just drink this guy's blood? You spit out a piece of torn flesh. That's gross. That's a why, where, what was in that fucking wine? Barely able to focus, your heart and lungs still motionless. You reach for your phone and dial 911. 911 operator, what's your emergency? My heart stopped. My heart, it's not beating. Ma'am, where are you right now? The door to the lounge swings open. The man who enters is not the one that brought you here, though there are similarities. He's tall for one, broad-shouldered, handsome, dressed in an immaculate suit, but his skin is darker and the look on his face tells you he is not here to negotiate a deal. He notices the smartphone in your hand. Pass me the phone if you want to live. The man's voice is persuasive, calm, but carrying a clear threat. He's got the aura of a viciously efficient corporate shark. You find it hard to argue with him. Ma'am, hello? I apologize for wasting your time. My new colleague got drunk and is now trying to impress everyone with her antics. Good night. He disconnects the call and places the phone in his pocket. For whatever reason, you can barely take your eyes off the stranger. As hypnotizing as his presence is, though, it's also highly discomforting. Good evening, miss. I'm here to pick you up. Pick me up? Did I stutter? The stranger approaches the waiter and examines his body. Critical condition, but he might live anyway. He then sets his sights on you. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you, and going by experience, they tend to fall into two categories. First, there are the smart ones who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on, the wise guys who tried to contact somebody secretly and without permission, the troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times. So you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness. One that inspired me to come up with the 3-strike system when dealing with pups like you. If you get on my nerves once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes, and you're out. Say I understand, sir. Now. Every atom of your being screams for you to obey his authority. I understand, sir. Stick to that tone and you'll do fine. Moving on. Is there anyone you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're all right. He flashes his fangs briefly, and for some reason the sight sends a chill down your spine. There is something very wrong about him. Someone closest to you. There's no one. No, I don't have anyone. The stranger squints at you. No family? No lover? No friends? Nothing? A job? Your blank stare tells him the whole story. He immediately stops prying and gives you something even worse than a look of pity. A look of honest compassion. Well, that makes things simpler. But let me be crystal clear, just in case. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them. That practiced tone again. You put on your poker face and listen in silence. So, unless you want your boss to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I suggest you cooperate. Don't tempt me. He smiles, revealing his fangs again. There's something absolutely sickening about it. Suddenly you feel overwhelmed by a sense of exhaustion. You pass out. When you regain your senses, you find yourself in the stranger's arms. The man is holding you as you would a spouse who's had a little too much to drink. I like that painting. You try to break free, but he holds you close and gives you a cautioning look. Only when you cease your struggling does he let you go. Only now do you notice the change in scenery. You find yourself in a fancy lobby, right next to the elevator. The place is virtually empty, save for a single concierge and some cleaning staff. Your companion gestures at the concierge as you pass, and he picks up the phone. The elevator arrives, the door opens, and the man motions you towards the cabin. After you. Where are we going? To a safe place. That's all you need to know. Trust me, you don't want to make this difficult. Just get in. Going against your instincts, you enter the cabin. Smooth jazz is playing over the speakers as the elevator starts its descent. You are dazed, panicky, and somehow locked in place. On the one hand, you find the stranger's presence oddly soothing. On the other, you can feel your body tensing up with stress. But you can't help but think back to the young waiter. Doe-eyed look on his face, the confused look he gave you just before. No, it's better not to think about it. Plus, you have other things to worry about, like the fact that you're being kidnapped. The cabin door opens to the same garage you arrived at with the investor some hours ago. The man shows you to a black Cadillac Escalade. I know what you're thinking. Getting into a car with some strange man. Boy, sure seems like a dumb idea. Maybe I can make a run for it. I might be able to lose him. So let me be perfectly clear. Your best bet is to get in, relax, and enjoy the ride. Do you think the waiter upstairs, is he going to be alright? Yes. You look him in the eyes and can immediately tell he's lying. No more questions. Get in the car, please. It seems like the worst idea ever, but the man's made it very clear that you have no choice in the matter. Can I at least know your name? You'll know it when the time is right. I like this guy. He's got the creepy vampire thing down. I love it. He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Listen, you really need to quit stalling. We're on a bit of a schedule here. The sun comes up in about 2 hours, and I don't intend on being here when it does. The sun? What does it matter when the sun comes up? Ah, you really don't know, do you? Good thing I got here when I did. He opens the car door and gestures towards it. You see no point in delaying the inevitable, so you get in. The door locks behind you. The Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. The man gets into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without another word. Did I die? Depends on your definition of death. Listen, I realize you have many questions. Tomorrow you will get some answers. But tonight you need to do what I say. And right now, I need some quiet, please. You feel too confused to protest. You stay silent for the rest of the ride, even as more questions bubble up to the surface. One of them being, did you actually kill someone tonight? Staring out the window, you find it hard to focus and quickly lose track of where you're headed. You can only tell that you haven't left Manhattan. Another underground parking. Almost featureless. Empty. The car stops, and the man opens the door for you. We're here. The stranger walks you to a nearby door. He opens it and motions at you to get in. Go on in. Make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry, again, take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll get your answers. Behind the door is a small room, no windows, just a simple bed and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner, accompanied by a rattling AC fan in the wall. That's it? You're just gonna leave me here? That's it. For now. At least. Look, this room is your best chance of seeing another night. I realize you've been put in a problematic situation, and it's not entirely your fault. Cooperate, and you might still make it. You will learn more tomorrow, but for the time being, get in and get cozy. He gestures inside the room. You step inside. The stranger nods. Good night. He locks the door behind you. It looks very sturdy. You open the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there, filled with red liquid. No label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best to leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. At least it's not too filthy. You think back to how this evening began. This investor, is he friends with the dark-skinned stranger who picked you up from the restaurant? What happens now? Unable to relax, you spend an hour or so playing out various scenarios in your head. Eventually, you decide to give in and let exhaustion take over. Whatever tomorrow brings, you'd rather face it well rested. Plus, there's no way in hell your boss isn't going to notice your absence tomorrow. That and maybe some of the restaurant staff will feel a pang of conscience. Somebody will notify the police. Someone will find you, right? You flash back to the waiter's tattoo, the bloody Rita Hayworth winking at you over a pale mess of a wound. You did this. You bit him, drank his blood, and it tasted good. What if you could never go home again? You are so tired, your entire body tenses up one last time, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on. The AC is still rattling. The refrigerator is still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone, and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, back of the head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past when you found it nauseating. But now it's almost. No, not almost. It is enticing. Drink the blood. It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it, you pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes like shit. It's coppery, thick, and clings to your tongue and the inside of your mouth like a film of dirt. You swallow hard regardless. The taste is foul, but somehow you kind of want more of it. As you take a second sip, sucking the blood out of the bag, you feel something pull on your insides. You double over, you're going to barf. You instinctively cover your mouth, looking for a place to vomit. Before you find it, a dark red wave washes over your hand and fingers. It hits the floor, splattering in huge, thick drops. You keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing is coming out, not blood, not bile, not even spit. But still something in your body wants to push it out. Push it all out, every last drop. As you recover, trying to wipe the droplets of regurgitated blood from your dress, you hear the lock click, and you see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, that predatory look, like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So like a tamed hawk, maybe. Good evening, how was... He notices the spatter, your red hand, the sick look on your face. He barely contains a smirk. Oh, was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies. Offer him a drink. You can't tell me you can drink this. He takes the bag off your hands and pours all of its contents into his mouth. He closes his eyes, theatrically savoring the taste. When he opens them a few seconds later, he looks sharper, energized. Not all of us are picky eaters. Come on, we've got places to be. I should have some water and a towel in the back of the car so you can clean yourself up. The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room you've spent the day in. The man motions to it politely, but with a stern look on his face. It's not like I have a choice, right? Correct. But your cooperation is appreciated nevertheless. You take the back seat again. The door's locked. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets and landmarks through the blackened windows. But it's of little use. The car is also soundproof, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming in the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door's locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry. No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling of the stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, your throat, and the back of the head. You become restless. This is essentially a kidnapping. Whatever the guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact that you're being held against your will. and you're not used to following orders when you can't delegate them to someone else. You feel a need to get semblance of control over the situation, so you decide to prove yourself useful. Listen, I'm an investment advisor, and I have a lot of experience in fintech, so whatever your organization is, it might find use for me. I don't even have any idea what fintech is, and honestly, I don't care to find out. A short pause. I'll be frank. Currently, you're in no position to offer anybody anything. The sooner you accept that, the better. Big words from somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever achieved anything. You push the right buttons. He gives you an absolutely furious stare through the rearview mirror. For a second, you spot a crack in his professional demeanor. You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed. For a few seconds, he quietly fumes. Your attitude won't help you make any friends, and in your current position, you definitely need some. Consider that, preferably in silence. That dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. You are used to people listening to you, or pretending to care about your demands at least. The driver doesn't play that game, and it annoys you to no end. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, maybe. After me, no sudden movements, please. You approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Hole. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides. They give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you as if wishing to appraise your worth. This reminds you of your company meetings. You, the only woman in the room, silently judged not on her merits but her standing on the list, passed in clandestine email threads between your male coworkers until HR found out, that is. Not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it. There's no denying it taught you resilience. When others would cower, you now straighten up. When others would turn their gaze, you meet the eyes of the gallery's guests with confidence. Good evening, Kadir. And to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers. You being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Panhard, child of Makela. Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people. That much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly thereafter. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Wait, I'm confused. What are you saying? I think it shall all become clear momentarily. You were pushed headfirst into a world that you have not realized the existence of. But before you can partake of it, there needs to be a trial. You are about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society? Make-believe? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? Kadir, a trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time, tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing on one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made in the private lounge of the patrician suggests that this one's sire had plenty of resources to spend. However, they are apparently also well connected. I lost track of them. Despite some reservations, she offered little resistance last night and cooperated on her way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. Opening the door to the safe house tonight, I was greeted by a most disturbing sight of her drenched and regurgitated blood. Apparently, the bag supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking. The remark elicits a contemptuous chuckle from one of the gathered guests as they note the remains of the blood on your skirt. It was not an elegant sight, but that hardly matters, I suppose. Moving on. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged her to join me, which she did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. During our drive here, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, posturing as if we were equals, insulting me when it didn't work. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego might still be bruised. He looks at you and flashes a nasty smile. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? Let me ask you this first. Why do you keep using that word, sire? What does it mean? Under regular circumstances, they would be your patron and the one responsible for your introduction into our society. Things being what they are now, however, I would very much like to know who they were. Indulge me. You find it impossible to decline her final request. Something in her voice makes you want to please her, and you hear yourself speak. An entrepreneur, acquaintance of my boss, I think. Good-looking, pale blue eyes, some gray in his hair, charming, abusive, cold son of a bitch. You stop yourself from saying more, then realize there's really not much more to talk about. A nagging thought enters your mind. How did this prince persuade you with such ease? Well, Kadir, does this sound familiar? No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we are done here. That man, he talked to somebody at the restaurant before he left. I can't remember what he said, but he wasn't alone. Maybe that's a lead you can follow. Did he now? That is interesting. I do hope the proprietor won't stay mad at us for losing one of his staff. It's almost like he knows the waiter's fate is still bothering you and takes pleasure in pointing it out. Thank you for that observation. I will investigate it later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kadir what all that talk of traditions and council was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie? Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stay in your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you are in quite the pickle. What do you mean? I still don't understand what my crime is. Poor thing. This really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you need to understand one crucial fact that seems to have eluded your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire. Wait, what? She hasn't figured it out yet? Oh yes, I am well aware how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They are us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it, and your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you are lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. Suppose I say yes. What happens then? You survive, hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance, not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality, and you will assist me like a child would a sire. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking toward you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard, fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City, Camarilla, gathered here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable, and that does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can only be one course of action. Although I acknowledge some of the council's divergent opinions on this, she takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir. You hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy. Spare me, please. Don't make me beg, goddammit. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting a response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The border leads suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now. But Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. And I understand you are volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection? Yes, I am willing to give them a chance. To prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations, I will take nothing less than their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hushed, just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence! I ask all of you to make note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in this time of need. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them if it pleases you. It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death. Or second death, apparently. And keeping silent. You decide it's for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant you what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Ms. Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Lorelei, Prince. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Lorelei. Now, this evening proved to be more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those of you, or those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Lorelei, I think we have both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a fruitful new partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guest glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. The memory of throwing up in the safe house is still fresh in your mind, but the idea that it could happen again is almost enough to reject the drink altogether. But there's no denying you want it. Need it. I remember what Kadir said about your misadventure before getting in the car. Some of us have more delicate palates than others. Try to take a small sip. S'il vous plaît? I guess that's the pronunciation. He pours it into two tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you your drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you are certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. It's difficult to take just a sip. Even though the taste is as foul as before, you are tempted to down the whole glass in one go. You wait before taking a second taste. You're glad you did. A feeling like heartburn signals that you can't keep it down. You spit it back inside the glass. Sophie looks on, intrigued. I'm not surprised. NYC caterers have a very bourgeois idea about what good blood should taste like. You just need to keep trying. At Sophie's request, the concierge serves you 3 other variants of blood. The first 2 are as horrible and indigestible as before, both ending up back in the glass within moments of tasting them. Before the third try, you are almost ready to throw the glass at the wall in frustration, but finally, this one is different. Instead of mud and decay, a surprisingly rich bouquet of tastes. You feel blissfully at ease, and Sophie takes notice. Ah, there it is. Jacob, would you kindly let us know who the donor was? Leave the bottle, please. The concierge nods and leaves again. You take another sip and another. You empty the glass. The dull feeling in your stomach and head starts subsiding, but you still want more. Sophie pours you another glass and refills hers. She takes a sip. You have a curiously specific taste, Lorelei. Is it the clover notes, the traces of caffeine, or that bittersweet aftertaste of melancholy? You taste nothing of the kind, but it doesn't matter. It's tasty, but not as delicious as it was last night. Not as intoxicating. It manages to silence the hunger somewhat, though. Drinking blood puts you at ease. It's a strange realization. The man named Jacob comes back with a small card and leaves it with Sophie. She takes a quick look at it and passes it on to you. It's somebody's medical details. An office worker, male, Caucasian, 32 years old. Blood type AB-RH+. Blue eyes, brown hair, no history of substance abuse, New Jersey native. Might one of these details be what makes the difference? Now that we have picked the right bouquet for your palate, these documents should be useful in identifying your exact taste. They should be ORH+ or Joyzy Boys. Joyzy. I believe you have more questions, no? Perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life. But that is a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satiating than most anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it can make you more voracious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink. But it's risky and will tempt the beast that is part of our curse. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we will explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. You mentioned a beast. The beast you mentioned, is that a metaphor or... Oh, it's quite real. Although it's not in strictly a physical sense. It lives in all of us, our nature and hunger manifest. Those more religious among us connect it to the biblical Cain, the rage of the first murderer, cursed by God, seething in all his descendants. I, however, am a child of the Enlightenment. Not that it makes my struggle any easier. I have to be wary like every other kindred in this city and beyond. Individual kindred each have a unique relationship to their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the Masquerade. The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper to her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on could tip any negotiation towards her favor. Her words are like honey, and she makes it impossible to take your eyes off of her. You are under her spell momentarily. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the Masquerade. As you might have gathered from our assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings and goings and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so to the vast majority of kind, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular? You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe. It allows us to explain away the occasional trip up to the irrational minds of the 21st century humanity and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. What's the worst that could happen if you're a vampire? I'm sure you can defeat any threat that comes your way. It would surely make things easier if we could. Unfortunately for us, there are plenty of things that could harm us. Chief among them are sunlight and fire. Both will burn you to ash. That's why we rest during the day. You've felt it, I'm sure. That it's more like being dead than being dormant. But we have no choice. We are night dwellers, but day sleepers. Some more folk-related threats are just legends, or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't repel us unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that is something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze, which under the right circumstances can often be the same thing. That's a reason to have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory, making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with the daylight. Am I right in thinking that having a human friend or two is necessary then, or at the very least useful? In moderation, and best if they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends, I haven't had one of those for many years now. Our little sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage friendships. Alliance is a convenience, to be broken at a whim. Yes, that's more like it. I'd be bad at being a vampire. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. Friends must remain a distant priority at best for us to maintain the Masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority, with it becomes influence and power, if you wish to reach for them. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You are in the city in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? Is it another drab safe room in an underground parking lot for my safety and all that? Don't be ridiculous. You're not a sireless fledgling in Kadir's stern grasp anymore, and even he wouldn't hold you there any longer than necessary, I think. Come upstairs. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Mrs. Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable-looking bed and thick steel door with several sturdy-looking locks, but no windows. Well, how do you like it? This is great, thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing, no regular food either. Feels strange that Kadir could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. No surprise there. President of the United States got him out of trouble again. Also no surprise there. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into cold sleep last night, you settle into the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest thing you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades, and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking. I feel like that's the end of story time, folks. It's 10 o'clock on the nose. We're at an hour and 4 minutes of the stream. It'll be about an hour when I cut out the countdown. I like that game a lot so far. I like the story it's telling. I kind of like the reading it. I mean, I know I'm not good at character voices, so I'm not doing individual voices for each one. But I am trying to make it performative, I guess. Your mileage may vary on if I did a good job or not. But I really dug that opening hour. That was cool. I like that a lot. We'll be back on this game again in the future. As I said at the beginning, we are raising money for Extra Life. It's there in the chat. It's under the video on Twitch. It'll be in the description on YouTube. I was reminded today during work that we are off next Monday, so we have a 3-day weekend coming up. That means 72 hours available minus sleep and eating and all that stuff of video games. We are gonna stream like motherfuckers this weekend. We're gonna do Animal Crossing and coffee. We're gonna do some of this. We're gonna play Wasteland. We're gonna play Tony Hawk Pro Skater. We're gonna play Fall Guys. We're gonna play everything this weekend. Hopefully raise some money, get that needle moving up. I would at least like to be over the $100 mark by the end of the weekend. We've been sitting at 75 for a couple weeks. I did get my nice cool die. I don't know if you've seen it in the previous videos. For raising $75 in the month of August, I got this bad boy. This beautiful D20 from Extra Life. It's a trophy piece. I am not going to play with it. It is heavy. It's beautiful. Blue and silver. I love it. It feels good to look at. I've looked at it several times the last couple days. Been sitting here working, hating my job, feeling bad about what I'm doing. I look over and go, I raised some money for some kids, man. That feels good. It's right there, just past the camera on a little shelf. I want to raise more money. So let's do that, please, together this weekend. Expect Extra Life mini marathons all weekend long. Probably going to debut a new show format tomorrow morning. It's going to be just a chatting thing. We will have done it by the time this goes live on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy it. It's just going to be conversation, basically. And then make sure you go to, I'm going to put it in the chat right here, socials. That button right there, that link, polynerdic.card with 2 R's.co, that will take you to our card page, which is a landing page that has all our links on it. It has Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It takes you to the link. It has the link. There's a question mark. That'll take you to the Ask PolyNerdic page of polynerdic.com. It has the link for Discord, our subreddit. It has YouTube, Twitch, Coffee, and Patreon. It has all our links basically right there. Please join the subreddit. Please join the Discord. I want to build the community there. I want to make those both self-sufficient, that don't need me there all the time driving the conversation, because I'm trying to diversify what we do here. I want to have more conversational stuff, more stuff about movies, books, comics, television. I want to do more about anime. I want to do more about things that aren't just video game related. Granted, Twitch is the closest to getting paid of any of the things I do, so I will continue to do video game streaming because we're this close to getting affiliate status. But I also would love to branch out and do more things. Hence the thing we're doing tomorrow morning. It's gonna be like 30-45 minutes. But yeah, thank you for watching tonight or tomorrow morning if you're watching this live on YouTube. I like this game a lot so far. I like the story that's being told. I might actually do files for each character. Since there's 3 to choose from, I want to see how it plays out for the other 2. Make different choices and stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you for watching. As always, it's been my pleasure to entertain you, my nerdy neighbors, and casual viewers. Please join that Discord and that subreddit. Become one of the nerdy neighbors. Join the community that we're trying to build here. And again, Extra Life. Let's raise some money for some kids. I'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.